Hi, hello, I'm sorry the lighting is horrible. Also, I'm gonna try and talk less with my hands because editing that, and I'm talking with my hands already. So today I'm gonna be talking about MBTI. I'm sorry in advance. So on Personality Database, there's a profile that I've seen a lot of discourse on that I would like to throw my 2 cents in, or my 5-minute video in, and that is Ren from Persona, or Akira, or Joker, whichever of the names you'd like to go with. I think Ren is an ENTP. I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill that Ren is an ENTP. I'm gonna try and explain this in the most painless way possible. I think Ren is an ENTP. ENTPs have 4 functions. There's NE, extroverted intuition, TI, introverted thinking, FE, extroverted feeling, and then SI, introverted sensing. So I'm gonna try and explain how all of these show up in Ren. And I wrote a lot of notes because I don't want to get off track too many times here. First off, a lot of people are saying he's not an ENTP because he's a silent protagonist and he doesn't talk much, which ENTPs are one of the most introverted extroverts. The term extroversion in MBTI does not just mean extroversion like, oh, we talk a lot, we like to be outside. No, extroversion in MBTI, it means you kind of need to have stimuli, whatever, from the outside world. You're not in your head as much as you are external. So it can be reading, watching TV, talking to people, anything like that. You just need stuff to come from the outside inwards. You can see a lot of NE. Oh my god, I'm gonna be saying NE so many times in this video. I'll put a counter. I'm not gonna end up putting this counter. It's gonna be so much work. I'm not gonna put the counter. You see a lot of NE in Ren's character. It shows up a lot in the choices because there are some very out there choices, and I'm gonna say, just for this argument, I don't care what you say, all the choices are things that he'd be willing to say. So you can say that he can take one thing and go a million different ways with it. That's very extroverted intuition like. Next, with NE, the part in the Mementos mission where he goes in cross dresses, it's just so out there. Like, this is the smallest piece of evidence I have, but just the idea that he took having to be like in disguise kind of and then went that far with it.
Let's go, girl.
And then I think another thing is the confidence. Is the confidants. Every confidant is a new connection, and then he brings those connections back and figures out how he can use those later. Also, a small tidbit, Arsene is based off of Arsene Lupin, who is an ENTP. It doesn't mean specifically his personality is going to be the same, but I don't know. A lot of people are arguing on whether he's an INTP or an ENTP. ENTPs have the 2 functions, FE and TI in the middle. Well, it goes TEFI. TIFE. My brain is like gone. ENTPs have TIFE in the middle, and they are very good at balancing the inner workings, their opinions of TI, and then FE, which is the people around them. So they'll be very good at hyping their friends up and being with their friends, and then also having their own opinions and being good with just being true to themselves, basically. So they can be very introverted or very extroverted.
You can fire back and forth between their identity, TI, and the tribe, FE. Now, we found half the ENTPs out there tend to favor their TI, and the other half tend to favor their FE. This is why you'll see some ENTPs that are more introverted, some are more extroverted. Things like this are playing out.
Next, I want to talk about the inferior functions, because this is probably the biggest reason I think that he's an ENTP versus an INTP. The inferior functions show what a person's greatest weakness is. INTPs have FE as their inferior function, FE, extroverted feeling. I don't think Ren has FE as his inferior function. FE involves having trouble socializing with people and sometimes not knowing where you stand with other people, and there's a deep insecurity with that. And I feel like, compared to what I'm going to talk about in a minute, Ren does not have as much trouble with this. Sometimes people with FE as their 4th function go off into their own thing and they don't realize they're isolating themselves, and then they come back and don't realize that they've isolated themselves and people aren't there, and that's their biggest issue. ENTPs can also have this issue, but it's not as big as this next one that I'm gonna bring up. ENTPs have inferior SI. SI is introverted sensing, which has to do with control. If someone has introverted sensing as their inferior function, they are going to feel a very big need to not be controlled. And I feel like you can kind of see that with Ren, because the whole idea of the Phantom Thieves is just the dislike of how society is. I mean, I don't want to say that exactly, because that would be like, oh, inferring possibly the whole Phantom Troop has SI. Inferior, but it's not like that. It's just, I feel like he has SI Inferior versus FE Inferior because of how he interacts with other people. Also, a lot of people in the comments were saying that Ren doesn't argue with anyone, but he does sort of debate with Akechi. I just want to throw that out there. I mean, not all ENTPs are debating everyone. Not all ENTPs are Ben Shapiro. ENTPs, I feel like it's either 100 or 0. If we're very, very passionate about something, we do it. And if we're not, we don't care. And I feel like in a lot of circumstances, Ren just doesn't really care that much. But then when he does care, if it's something about the Phantom Thieves, he's 100. And that's like him arguing with, like, not really arguing, but like talking with Akechi about the Phantom Thieves. He has enough care about it to actually argue to some degree. This is still a mess, even though I wrote a whole entire script out about it. So if you want to see me talk about another character's MBTI, and make a mess of a video about that, let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna go. Bye.
Let's go, girl.